Let us continue with chapter number 2. Today we will discuss a female reproductive system. So here we having female reproductive system chart. So female reproductive system is quite complicated, having a two external as well as internal genitalia. Internal genitalia having a pair of ovaries, a pair of oviducts, uterus and vagina, while the external genitalia includes vulva, a pair of vestibular gland, a pair of mammary gland. Let us move ahead for the internal structure. This part we have already discussed in the class. The female reproductive system, internal genitalia. Let us start. Ovary first is a male female gonad, a primary sex organ, function, a production of ovum and reproductive hormones, solid oval and almond shape, having a 3 centimeter length, 1.5 centimeter breadth and 1 centimeter in thickness, located in the upper lateral part of pelvis near the kidney, and ligaments holds the ovary in a correct position. So largest ligament, if you observe here, the largest ligament is broad ligament, or called as over this part. You can see broad ligament holds the ovary and oviduct and uterus to a dorsal body wall. Ovarian ligaments here attaches the ovary to the uterus. Ovary produces or secretes estrogen, progesterone, relaxin, activin, and inhibin hormones. Let us move ahead for the structure and development of ovary. These questions we have already discussed. So ovary having two major parts, outer one called as cortex, inner one called as medulla. Cortex cover externally by germinal epithelium. Cortex is compact and granular, while the medulla is a stroma having a loose connective tissue. Medulla having a blood vessels, lymph vessels and nerve fibers. Cortex shows a tiny masses of cells called as ovarian follicles that collectively formed from the immature ova originating from the dorsal endosperm of the yolk sac. And these cells then migrate to the gonadial ridge during the embryonic development and divides mitotically. Now these cells are called as oogonia. Now this oogonial cell grows in size surrounded by the granulosa cell and that forms a rudiments of ovarian follicles. And this process called as oogenesis, which starts before the birth of female baby. So it takes place in the womb only. By the end of 12 weeks, the ovary is fully developed and consists of 2 million of primordial follicles in it. And the cells of germinal epithelium forms a group of oogonia. Now oogonia projects out a cortex cord called as egg tubes of P. flagger. Each cord has a rounded mass of oogonial cell called as egg nest, and this egg nest forms a primordial ovarian follicles. Each primordial ovarian follicle has at its center a large primary oocyte, which is a 2N diploid structure. This primary oocyte is surrounded by a layer of flat follicular cell. The primary oocyte then divides by meiotically and get arrested at myo1. Now, out of this 2 million of primordial follicle, 1 million remains in the ovary at the time of birth and 40,000 at the time of puberty. So, first of all, from 2 million it becomes 1 million till the time of birth. After birth reaches to the puberty, only 40,000 will remain. Large number of primordial follicles degenerate during the ostracia, and development of primordial follicles to the graphene follicle restarts at the time of puberty. So during each menstrual cycle, only one primordial follicle grows or mature to form graphene follicle, and in each cycle alternately one of each ovary produces graphene follicle, and first menstrual cycle is called as menarche, while the menopause, this is nothing but a stopping of cycle. So let us see the histological structure of mature female. The changes in the mature ovary, that is takes place in the cortex. So different stages of development of oocyte takes place in the cortex. So changes from primordial follicle to the graphene to the primary, secondary and graphene follicle. Whole changes takes place in the cortex. So here we have seen this kind of different stages from the primordial to primary, primary to secondary, secondary to tertiary follicle, and then to graphene follicle. Then we have seen the various layers like a theca interna, externa, and corona radiata, how they are formed and what are the role of all the layers. On 14th day, ovulation occurs, so release of secondary oocyte takes place. The corpus luteum secretes of progesterone for next 10 days. So if the fertilization takes place, so it continues the secretion of progesterone to maintain the pregnancy. If not, then degenerates. Next, we have seen oviduct, that is the internal genitalia, a pair of muscular duct lies horizontally to the peritoneal cavity, around 10 to 12 centimeter in length, internally lined by a ciliated epithelium, which is divided into three regions: infundibulum, ampulla, and isthmus. Then we have discussed about the uterus, which has three different regions: fundus, body, and cervix. Fundus is a upper dome-shaped embryo implantation for the embryo implantation. Body broad part, tapers downwards, and cervix is a narrow neck having a two openings. One opens into the body and second extends to the vagina. Then we have also discussed about the three different layer structure of uterine wall: perimetrium, outermost, myometrium, middle thick muscular, which is made up of smooth muscle. A vigorous contraction of this muscle causes a labor during the parturition. And the next important one is endometrium, that is the innermost, which is made up of striated epithelium. Thickness undergoes changes which occurs during the menstrual cycle and reach in blood supply vessels and uterine glands and provides nourishment to the developing fetus. Then the vagina, a tubular female copulatory organ, 7 to 9 centimeter in length, lies between the cervix and the vestibule, has a three-layered structure. Outer one is adventitia, second is muscular, and the third one is mucosal lining, which stores a glycogen. Here no glands are found, but cervical secretion received into the vagina. Opening of vagina into vestibule called as vagina orifice, and this opening partially covered by the hymen. It acts as a passage for menstrual flow and birth canal during the parturition. Then we also discussed this exercise. In the next lecture we will discuss the further topic.